Hello, welcome back to the Garage of Dreams. For a new series, I'm following on from my great guitar build-off build. I've decided to go back to a partscaster build, which is more what I'm used to, and I thought I'd document it in the same way. For some of those that joined in and joined my channel during the great guitar build-off, I hope this is of interest to you. Anyway, what am I going to build? Well, I decided to build my ultimate HSS Strat. That's what I'm billing it as. Anyway, so influence was seeing a couple of guitars online actually, and I'll put the pictures in of them, which are both HSS Strats, and both Lake Placid blue. So anyway, I'll stick the pictures in now. Yes, so both HSS Strats. Really started with the Gordon Smith one that I put up first. I saw that and I really liked it. I've got a Gordon Smith actually. I've previously had another Gordon Smith guitar. I've never had a Strat Gordon Smith, but anyway. So I was almost tempted to buy that, but then I thought, no, let's make one as ever. So anyway, I'll show you the parts that I've so far got. Let's start with the neck. So what we have here is really nice actually. This is a roasted maple neck, torrefied or roasted as they call it. I got it from a company called Alley Green, which I'd never used before. I'll put a link in the description if I remember. Recommended by CS Guitars channel, Colin over at CS Guitars. Go check his channel out. And he did a partscaster build with pretty much everything I think came from Alley Green on that build, or close to that anyway. And he really thoroughly recommended these necks. So I went with this, and I am quite pleased with it, having got it. Obviously not used it, of course, but the frets look nice. It feels good quality. It's got a nice shape to it. It's got a nice feel to it. I was tempted with another. I saw a Fender, an actual Fender Mexico roasted maple neck. Almost went for that, but they are quite expensive. It's like over 200 quid. Whereas this was, I can't remember, but under 100 quid. And of course they're finished and all of that, and I know you get the Fender logo and I could legitimately use it, but I'm not really bothered about that, and I almost feel like that's not right anyway if I'm building a partscaster. But this is nice because it's an unfinished roasted maple neck, and of course it's got a paddle headstock, so I can choose my headstock. We'll talk about that in a second. And I can finish it. I'm probably going to finish this in an oil finish as ever, because I quite like that on necks. And of course, being unfinished, it gives me some opportunity to do some further carving on the neck, which I'll explain a bit in a minute. But particularly headstock, I'm going to go for the big 1969 size. Now, a lot of people might be quaking in their boots at that, but I was born in the 60s, and I particularly started getting into music around the time Jimi Hendrix died. So big headstock Strats, Jimi Hendrix, Ritchie Blackmore, Robin Trower, all of those people use big headstock Strats, so I like them. My first ever electric guitar was a Columbus Strat copy with a big headstock, so some of it all goes back to that. Anyway, so that's the neck. What else have we got? We have a body. Ta-da! Now, this, I got this from Luthier's Warehouse, which anyone who watched the Great Guitar build-off build that I did will know that the guitar neck kit that I got, which was, you know, a completely unbuilt neck, just cut, neck blank cut basically. That came from Luthier's Warehouse, which was the first time I'd ever used them. I was really pleased with that kit generally, and I thought it was good quality, and I thought the price was quite good. Anyway, so I was looking for a body. I almost bought a pre-painted Lake Placid body, but there's some reasons why I didn't in the end, which we'll just talk about. But anyway, but then I saw this, like I say, with Luthier's Warehouse, HSS cut, obviously, which is what I want, so that means it saves me having to do any routing, although I possibly would have done that if I'd have found a different body and would have routed. But anyway, it's nicely done. A little bit rough on some of the carve at the back there, etc., which you would expect straight off of it. I mean, they don't, but it's really nice. A little bit of grain filling and sanding to do, but not a lot, to be perfectly honest. It's a really nice body. This is billed as Uruguayan mahogany, which I've never really heard of, if I'm honest. So I let them do a little bit of research. Uruguayan mahogany is sold by a group of loggers in Uruguay as a sustainable alternative to mahogany. So it is essentially a species. I can't remember the Latin name for it. Go look it up. But anyway, it's essentially a species that gives mahogany-like wood, but is in managed forests, which is all thumbs up, isn't it? That's all good stuff. So I'm quite pleased about that. It's interesting. I've always had an ankling for mahogany-bodied Strat. I've built one HSS partscaster before with a mahogany body, although that wasn't as Stratty shape as this. It was a bit more specific. Yamaha Pacifica looked like it, but anyway. So that's that. So one of the reasons why I wanted an unfinished neck in the end, body in the end, is one of the things I want to do is a better heel access. So I'm going to take that bit off, and then we'll probably fit with bolts, ferrule through bolts rather than a neck plate, and actually put some shaping there. That allows me also then to slightly improve the neck shape on that as well, because both of these being unfinished, I can do that before I do any of the finish work. So that's the plan. Yeah. So let's see how it goes together. Well, as you can probably see, the neck is just slightly too big for the pocket, which is actually quite nice. That's useful, isn't it? So, first job is going to be to just sand down the neck of that, and then so I can get it in the pocket. I just want to do that before I do anything else, and then just so I can double check lining up the bridge that I've bought. So come back after I've sanded this a little bit and got it to fit. Well, there we go. A little bit of sanding and voila, we have a nice tight neck fit. Really pleased with that. So first thing I'm going to do is, like I say, just do a double check of the line up of the bridge. And then I'm going to mark out what I'm going to do with the neck joint so that I can cut the body, because I want to concentrate on finishing the body first. Because as I said, I want it in Lake Placid blue. Voila. So, never ever done a spray finish before, so if you followed my Great Guitar Build Off where I did loads of things for the first time, this is the first ever time I've played around with these. Wish me luck, but anyway, that's the plan. But okay, let's get the bridge, double check that we haven't got any issues with that, make sure everything's all lined up and straight, should be hopefully, but we'll just double check that and then figure out the neck angle, the neck joint bit. I'll introduce the various bits of hardware I've got as I'm going along. First bit is the bridge. Now, as you may notice, this is it is a 6-screw bridge, but it's not a classic Fender bridge. I've deliberately done that. As I say, this is my ultimate HSS Strat, so I'm going for something with a sort of a rock flavour to it for me. This is actually a Wilkinson tremolo. I've used a more classical Strat, vintage type Wilkinson tremolo in the past on the other HSS build I did, and I was really impressed with it. I've always been generally impressed with Wilkinson stuff. I've used their telly bridges a couple of times, etc. Really good quality stuff generally. Anyway, this is a little bit more like a PRS bridge, for if you can see, and I just liked it. So it's got the more modern saddles, but it's then also got the rim round there, etc. I just thought it would look good. So let's see, as long as we're all generally in alignment, things will be good. That doesn't look bad. That's pretty good alignment along the fronts. That too, so yeah, no major hassles, which is good. Definitely not to worry about. I'm not going to mark and place the bridge now because given that I'm going to finish this with lacquer, my intention was to essentially do that once I've got it finished. So okay. Now, those of you who followed my Great Guitar Build-Off build will remember that I originally intended to use this plate on that guitar. Circumstances dictated otherwise. Go watch that for the disaster that happened around the neck pocket originally. Anyway, I had a look at this. It doesn't line up very well with the screws on this either, so it's not going to be useful on here, which I had already thought of probably using the ferrule route anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm going to use this to sort of create the shape. So essentially, I'll put that down there. I want just to take this bit off. I find that just that little change, even actually if you just filed it back and created a slope there, makes a huge difference. I did that once on a partscaster build and was really surprised. And after that, pretty much every time I've done a build, I've done it. And it's one of the reasons why I'm building this myself, partly because when I looked at the options available, like that Gordon Smith, they still had the old 4-bolt fix, etc. And obviously building myself gives me more options on putting my own electrics, etc. in it. But anyway, so I'm going to use this as a bit of a template to at least come up with something, and then we'll chop that off. And that'll be us set ready to then start finishing the body. Well, at least prepare the body for finishing. Right, so obviously need to sand that off, etc. But essentially that's how the body's going to look. And then with the neck, I can then adjust some of this profiling a bit when we get to that point. But yeah, that's pretty much the woodwork done for this one, I would think. Anyway. Right, so I have put the little curve on there that I wanted. I've drilled the extra hole through, 4mm hole, and then I've also, with a 12mm brad bit, put the recesses in for the ferrules, which I'd forgotten to do, but I've done this morning. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to grain fill this. Then give it a coat of sanding sealer, and then I'm going to put some primer on it, then colour coats, and then some gloss top coats. That's the process I'm doing. I will put a link in, I think it was Lone Star's Guitars in Holland, which I found had a really good 3-part YouTube series about spraying nitrocellulose lacquers from rattle cans. I've looked at other people, but he's the person who I looked at the most and found really clear instructions. It's a really useful video series. If you've never done it before like me, I would recommend it, so I'll put a link down below. Anyway, let's put a paint handle on it, so I might do that first, but anyway, then it's grain filler is the next thing. Unfortunately, my grain filler looked like that, so I've had to order some new. So this is after the first coat of primer, and I've got a couple of runs. You know, all a learning process. I've never done this before. I've got one on the other side as well. I need to get out, but there's just two the other side. I haven't looked on the other side yet. It's getting too close with it, I think, and a little bit too overeager. But anyway, we'll get there. Right, so here's the body after colour coats. And what have I learnt? Spraying when you don't have... well, I'm doing this outside in my garden. So I've got this bloom pattern on it, which I believe, reading up on it, is because of the humidity. But I live in the UK. And I live in the UK quite close to the Thames Estuary and the North Sea. So guess what? I don't think we're ever going to get good humidity here. It's always going to be rubbish. I don't know. To say I'm disappointed with this, yes, very. However, my wife says it looks like an interesting pattern. So rather than throwing this all away, which was where my mind is, I am going to soldier on. I'm going to put some clear coats on this. We're going to at least use it, and we're going to make a guitar out of it. It doesn't really look as I'd hoped it would, but that's the back, which again has got the bloom sort of streaks in it. Hey ho, it is what it is. So onward. I'm going to put the clear coat on, and then I'll show you later when the clear coat's on. Welcome back to the finished body. So what have I learnt in this process? If you're seeing this, you're thinking, well, there's some splodges and stuff on that, yeah, and there's some streaks. So let me go through some of that. Shooting with rattle cans outside is very difficult, I think. Maybe it's just me, but anyway. The bloom and the blush streaky things, I think, is because of humidity issues. I did go onto some forums and ask the obvious questions of people. Well, just put up there saying blah blah blah. And I got some useful, helpful tips back. Well, they weren't, but anyway, things like add thinner and retardant. I'm using cans. I haven't got a gun. Turn your dehumidifier up. I'm shooting outdoors. I haven't got it. Not even in a room. And all these people were a bit like, well, what do you expect them, pal? You know, like, hey ho. The top coat splodges I'm annoyed about. I think that was a really silly glove issue in that I'd not pulled the glove on fully. And as I went across on one coat, it was flapping actually in the spray, and that caused that stupid splodges. And it's very difficult to sand things back like that and get it look good. I had a couple of go in a couple of places and it just wasn't working for me. Would I have another go? Yes, I probably would. It's taught me enough to know, you know, what I'm doing, and that, you know, I shouldn't probably expect a perfect finish on it. I probably could have got it better than this. But I was just learning as I went, hey ho. But I mean, it's blue from a distance. It's blue and everything. So you know, I probably wished I'd stopped a couple of top coats before this, because then the splodges came in right towards the end, and it did look a little bit better possibly before then, which is just a bit annoying. But hey. This is it. And to be honest, from a parts caster, if you're a parts caster builder, okay, let's talk about that briefly. So I looked up, and actually from the place I got the cans, Northwest Guitars, who I recommend for all sorts of stuff. I've bought tools and hardware, etc. from them. Great service, good stuff generally. And I bought those paints from them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the paints at all. I think the paints are professional quality and all the rest of it. I'm not going to say anything, you know, I think it's my abilities and situation that has led to, you know, this not being the greatest finish you've ever seen. But they basically, they do an HSS Lake Placid blue body, but they had it with the old style heel thing. That was like 170 something quid, if I remember rightly. Okay, so I bought this body for about £70, and then the finishing all in, no, I don't know, probably about 50. So it's slightly cheaper. However, the point being that although the colour can is pretty much gone, all of the others I've got enough to at least do another finish with. So if I did do another body, you know, do you know what I mean? The cost comes down. So, but part of this was me. I wanted to have a go at it. You know, so you don't know if you don't try, and all the rest of it. So, I suppose really my final summing up is, if you're watching this thinking to yourself, oh, I'd have a go at spraying something like that and all the rest of it, have a go, but beware, if you don't have the best facilities, like I don't, you know, as you can see, this is my little shed, and I don't have a proper spraying environment, etc. The series that I'll link to, even in there, he does talk about having, you know, a sort of dedicated shed or something to actually spray in. So really, that's probably the answer. But if you're doing one, like me, I build, you know, maybe 2 guitars a year, if that. Justification of all of that is difficult, isn't it? You know. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, because I'm supposed to say that for some reason when you're on YouTube. Everybody says it on YouTube. But the other thing is there will be more to follow in this series. You know, if you're interested in seeing where I get to with this partscaster build of my ultimate HSS Strat, I'll see you later.